Hi everyone, and welcome to this month's mid-month mentoring. And today we're going to be talking about how to build your own dream team. So first, before we start, I'll just give you just a very brief introduction to myself. So my name is Richard Evans, and for 35 years, I had a very successful corporate career. For 20 of those years, I was on the senior management team of the same business, and during those 20 years we grew the business from 2 million to 65 million when I left in 2017. I've also been a property investor since 1995, so over the years I built up a small portfolio of properties which I self-managed myself at the same time as doing my day job. 2017, I decided that I wanted to quit the corporate world and really just focus my time on my property business, on growing my property business. So that's what I did. And I applied everything that I had learned from my corporate career to the property business. And I knew that if I was going to be able to grow and scale that business, then I couldn't do it all on my own. So I heard about the concept of virtual assistants, people working remotely. I took on my first virtual assistant from the Philippines, who was working alongside me in my business, doing all of the admin work and heavy lifting tasks within the business. A lot of people were coming to me. I do a lot of networking, always have done. And a lot of people were saying to me, you know, that it was really amazing the way I put all these systems in place. And I had this virtual assistant who was now doing a lot of the work for me. And some people were saying that they tried working with a virtual assistant and it hadn't worked out for them. And people were saying to me, you know, could you help me, mentor me and show me how to work with a virtual assistant? And could you perhaps recruit for me a virtual assistant? So in 2018, I formed Awaken to Business and started to do some recruitment and mentoring. But it was so successful, and I was getting so many clients, I started to then think to myself, well, look, you know, how can I really come up with a great service that's unique, that's niche, where we're recruiting virtual assistants in the Philippines, we're training them in how to work remotely and be really good at what they do, giving all that support, and at the same time also placing them with clients here in the UK who want to outsource, that want to scale, that want to grow, and have somebody else helping them in their business doing these time-consuming but low-value tasks. And so started mentoring the clients as well on how to do all of this and just bringing the two together. And that's what we do at VaVaVoom. Since then, the business has grown. So Awaken to Business is the business, if you like. VaVaVoom is the virtual assistant service. But we also now have your virtual marketing team as well. And at your virtual marketing team, we do branding and we build websites and all sort of digital marketing services using a team over there in the Philippines with specialist skills for clients here in the UK. So it means that we can provide a whole range of marketing services at a much better cost than you would have to pay an agency, perhaps in the UK. So we're really perfect for smaller companies that have got tighter budgets, that want to have great branding, great websites, great marketing, but haven't got high budgets. So you may have heard of this fella, you may not. So Brad Sugars, he is the founder of Action Coach. Action Coach is the world's largest coaching franchise. He's from Australia, but he has this saying, and I love it. He says, not employing someone in your business is costing you a fortune. So if you're trying to do all of the time-consuming tasks within your business, the admin tasks yourself, then what that's doing is it's preventing you using your time to do the high-value things, the things that only you can do yourself. Such as growing the business and working out a strategic way. So this is what we're going to be talking about today, about how you can focus your time on doing the right stuff and building a dream team around you that can do the other things for you. This here is my dream team. They've grown a bit since then, but this was taken last Christmas. We had a Christmas party for the dream team in the Philippines. All of these people work from home. They live in the Philippines. Got a whole range of different skills within this team. I've got people that work in recruitment, people who are working in the finance, people working in the marketing, training, whole range, property management, lots and lots of different people doing different things. And it's important, it's fundamental to growing your business that you build a dream team with the right people doing all the right stuff. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So the reasons why you need to have a dream team. So first of all, you can't do everything yourself. You only have a limited amount of time. So time runs out. So you just don't have the time to do everything yourself. You also don't know how to do everything yourself. So as your business grows, there's things perhaps like bookkeeping and finance that using Xero or bookkeeping software that you're not particularly good at. So why be doing things that you're not very good at? Focus on just doing the things that you are good at or that you need to do. Often there are tasks and things that need to be done within a business which you really know they should be done, but you just don't have time to get them done. So there's lots of things that you should be doing, but you're not doing because time just runs out. So what you need to be doing is to delegate as much as possible of these sorts of tasks and do as few of them as possible, and really just focus your time, as I say, by doing the right stuff, working at a higher level, strategic level, and your dream team are doing everything else. So how do you go about building your dream team? So first of all, you've got to understand, let's just take one position, one role. So let's say you need somebody to help you with the day-to-day operations of your business. So the first thing you need to do is you need to think about, okay, so what is that sort of person? What are the skill sets that I'm going to need from that person? What would be their experience, their background? So probably somebody that's done a lot of sort of admin type tasks in the past, that's very organized and can follow a process. Then you're going to think, okay, so if this is who I need, where am I going to get them from? So think about, where am I going to advertise? If it's somebody based in the UK, it may be websites such as Indeed. There's other job websites that for getting people overseas. So you've got Fiverr.com, People Per Hour is another one. And these sites are actually very good if you've got a particular project that you want done. Maybe you want a social media campaign, or you want perhaps you've got a particular task that's gonna, it's got a start date, it's got an end date. You're then going to get a freelancer, perhaps a bit of video editing or something like that. You can get a freelancer off those sorts of sites. You will put on the site the details of the job, and then people will then contact you and quote you to do the actual job. They're not so good if you want somebody that's actually going to be permanently part of your team. Then you really want to be, I mean, they do have people on there that advertise long-term positions, but if you wanted somebody in the Philippines to be a virtual assistant and you wanted to do it yourself, then there is Online Jobs PH is probably the biggest one. And you can go to there, you can put details of what the particular role is, and then you will then get lots of applications coming in. And if you've done a good listing, you may receive 2 or 3 CVs to come through. So that can be a bit overwhelming, of course, and you then start to go through the CVs and start to look for the right sort of people. And then really what you want to be doing then is shortlisting down. So if you've got 250 CVs, perhaps then shortlist down to maybe 15 to 20 maximum, I would say, that you really want to take through to the next stage. So then what I would suggest is you've got a set of questions prepared that you can email out. There are also, you can get online questionnaires to like general knowledge type questionnaires. And maybe you could send one of those out so that you can just get an idea for, you know, where they actually sit, what's their general knowledge like. You should carry out ID checks, make sure that that they are who they say they are. Get next to kin details, check their photo IDs, check their addresses, just for security purposes. And then you can then do a psychometric test. So we use one called Genius U. And with psychometric testing, you're really sort of looking at what sort of person are they? So with Genius U, it breaks it down into 4 separate categories. So if you imagine a square, and over the left-hand side, this is where you've got your sort of introverted people. They love, they've got great attention to detail. They're really good at following a process. They make very good, they're very good at admin tasks and bookkeeping and these sorts of things, because they love just getting, they've got that attention to detail and they like following that routine. We call those people still. So they're you introverted, they're still, they're not people, they're not people, you know, they're quite happy to sit there on their own and work. They don't really need to be surrounded by other people. Then at the top of the square, you then have what we call the creators. Now, creators, they create, they're very good at coming up with ideas. They've got good imaginations, they come up with the idea, but they're actually very bad at implementing it, because they lose interest. They lose interest very quickly, and they want to move on to the next idea. Something else has come up in their head, and so they're always moving on to the next thing before they've actually finished off implementing the last idea that they had. And then if you come over to the opposite, the right side of the cube, then you've got the what we call blazes. So these are people. They, you know, they're always the last one to leave the party. They're standing on the tables. They're great. You know, they have a lot of fun. They love talking to people. They're very good at networking. They're very good at sales. They can take the ideas that the creator has had. So the creators come up with the idea and then pass that on to the blaze, and then the blaze can go out and sell it. Okay, and they'll talk to lots and lots of people, and they'll you know, they're really good at marketing, sales and marketing, and they'll get that interest going. Then down the bottom, so you've got these extroverted here, you've got the creators up the top with their head in the clouds coming up with all the ideas, and then down the bottom you have the tempos, and these people are all about timing, and they're very grounded people. And what they can do is, so your dynamo's come up with the idea, the blaze has gone out and sold it, the tempo is now very, very good at getting that implementation done, passing it on to somebody, getting the systems in place, working out the process, working out perhaps a program, that sort of thing, and then we'll pass it on then back round to the introverted still, who can then do the day-to-day stuff. So these are the different types of people. So once you understand that, so this with the psychometric testing, that really gives you a very good idea of where that person is going to fit within the role. So if you've got a role which is all admin and going to be, you know, lots of detail is required, maybe something like bookkeeping or accounts, then the CVs where you've got the blazes or the creators who lose the interest, and the blazes, you know, they want to be talking to people, not sat there behind a computer all day, they're probably not going to be the best fit. Now, interestingly, I would say 75% of our applicants that we get for VAs are stills and perhaps tempos. And that is because they are those sorts of people. And, you know, when they go out into the workplace, they want jobs as doing admin. That's what they like doing. The Blazes, they want sales jobs. You know, they want to be talking to people. So they're going to go out, they're going to get a sales job. And the creators, of course, they become graphic designers or interior designers or something like that, where they can use their creative strengths. So we all have different strengths in these different areas. And by doing the psychometric testing, you will look at the strengths of the applications that you got. And you'd be quite surprised at just how much this really does sort of ring true. And if you haven't done the test yourself, I would really recommend Google Genius U. It's a free test. Google Genius U and take the test yourself, and you see where you actually fit. Because when you're recruiting, if you are a creator, then you don't really need another creator. The person that's going to probably serve you best may be a Blaze or perhaps a Tempo in the early days, and you start to build around it a balanced team with the right sort of people, with the right profile. Okay, so now you've looked at all of that, and hopefully now you've whittled it down to perhaps 5 or 6 people, and now you're going to conduct the interviews. So obviously, if they're overseas, you're going to do those interviews over Zoom. If it's somebody more local, then perhaps you're going to meet them in a coffee shop or something like that. But now you're going to start to have proper conversation with them. It could be the first interview is done over the telephone. I would suggest that you always do more than one interview, a minimum of 2. It could be the first one is done over the telephone, especially if it's somebody local. And then the second interview, you actually go and meet them face to face. I would say if it's somebody that's overseas, you might as well do them both on Zoom. But get to know that person and make sure that they are the right fit for you. Okay, so from there, you've now decided, right, okay, so this is now the person that I'm going to take on. So now you're going to issue with them some kind of contract. You will need to agree the working hours that they're going to work. And I'd always recommend also when you're bringing people into your business to work as part of your team, don't have full-timers. Okay, so start off with part-timers and start off with just a few hours a week whilst when you first start out, so you're not incurring high costs of taking that person on. Maybe, you know, you start off just agreeing, I don't know, 5 to 10 hours a week, something like that. Agree when they're going to work, what days of the week, and then you just start to increase those hours as they start to get to know the role and the position, and you get to know them, and you're happy with them. Once they get to 20 hours and your business is now growing, never take on people full-time. Okay, always build a team based on part-timers. All of my team, and I've got 20 odd in my core team now, all of them work part-time. And when you do that, then you're not relying on somebody too much. So you know, if somebody's sick or somebody goes on holiday, you've always got cover. So start to build and actually you get better quality people, funnily enough, when you're taking people on a part-time basis. When it comes to virtual assistants, and I'm going to talk about virtual assistants in a bit more detail later, but when it comes to virtual assistants, often they have got maybe 2 or 3 different clients, so they're doing different tasks for different clients. They're getting experience in different businesses, so for them the work is more varied, it's more interesting. But they're learning other things as well in the other roles that they're doing, and often they can bring those learnings to your own business. So it can be far better from that point of view also to be using a part-time. But agree the working hours, what days are they going to be working, what's the time of day, and then eventually you can set a start date for when they're actually going to start work. But it's very, very important that you allow plenty of time for this. So, you know, what I've just talked through there, it's quite a long process. So that could take you, it could take you a month, maybe even 2 months, between deciding to actually list your position on one of the internet sites and getting to that point when they're actually starting to work for you. But it doesn't stop there, because once they do actually start, then they've got to learn the job. They've got to learn, you know, what are the tasks that need to be done. They've got to learn about you. They've got to learn about your business. And so they're going to go through this this initial learning stage, which may be 2 or 3 months before they really get to, if you like, peak performance when they're in their flow. When we talk about in their flow, is when, you know, people sit down at their computer, they switch it on at the beginning of the day, and they know exactly what they've got to do because they've done it lots of times before, and that's when you're going to get the maximum benefit out of people. So yeah, so that could take 2 or 3 months. So it's really important to get it right. First of all, recruit today for the people you need tomorrow to allow for that. But also, if you think about it, if that person doesn't work out, then you've got to go all the way back to stage 1 again. So, you know, it's really, really important that you are very good at your recruitment, you know what you're doing, and you don't make those mistakes in the recruitment, because it's going to cost you time and it's going to cost you money. So we talked about part-time or full-time, and we talked about freelancers, and we haven't talked about PAYE. So having people on PAYE, don't do it. If you have people on PAYE, first of all, you have got lots and lots of legal obligations with that person. So it can be very, very hard to get rid of people if they're not working out. Very, very costly, because it's not just the salary that you've got to pay them, but you've got to give them other things like mobile phones, computers, you've got to give them holiday pay, you've got to give them sick pay, you've got to pay them on bank holidays, you have to pay national insurance on them as well. You've got to perhaps contribute to their pension scheme, give them a pension scheme. There's lots and lots and lots of other costs that are involved when you go bring people on PAYE. With freelancers and with virtual assistants, you're under no long-term contract. They have to provide with virtual most virtual assistants and freelancers, they're going to be working from home, so you haven't got to provide them with a desk and office space. They're going to use their own computer and telephone. They're going to pay their own bills, and all of these costs you haven't got to worry about. And yeah, if they're not working out, if there's a problem, then you can let them go much easier. So what is a virtual assistant exactly? The virtual assistant is somebody that is going to give you support with your business operations. They can be specialists, or they can be general. So a general admin, they're going to be doing things like perhaps bookkeeping, some basic marketing, perhaps doing some social media marketing for you, processing orders, doing your invoicing, making sure that payments have been collected, all these sorts of things. They're low value, time consuming tasks, and that's what a general admin person will do. A specialist is somebody that has got a special skill set. So they may be a qualified bookkeeper or even a qualified accountant. And, you know, that's what they do. Maybe they are an SEO specialist or they're a web developer. They've got some unique special set of skills. So generally with a specialist virtual assistant, you would have to pay them a little bit more, but you're paying for that extra knowledge that they've got. A virtual assistant is part of your business. So unlike with a freelancer, when you're taking them on to complete a particular project, with a virtual assistant, they become part of your business, they're part of your team, and they are there for the long term and for the duration. They could be full-time or they could be part-time. I've already said not to take people on in a full-time role, against my advice. Take on 2 part-timers as opposed to one full-timer. Generally, a virtual assistant will be working from home, and a virtual assistant can be UK based or they can be overseas based. So yeah, there are lots of virtual assistants that are based here in the UK. Generally, for a UK based virtual assistant, you're going to pay probably £20 to £25 an hour, something like that. And yeah, these jobs are becoming much more popular since the pandemic. Obviously, companies are realizing, that working from home is becoming more and more popular from the employer's point of view. And also, a lot of people now really like working from home because they can obviously be there for their kids. They haven't got travel expenses. They don't have to necessarily dress up, and they're not going to get through so many smart clothes as if they were to be working from an office. So they're very popular. All of our virtual assistants are based from the Philippines. That's where we recruit from, and I'll go into a little bit more of the details why in a second. So here's this is Tanya here. She's one of my team. And let's look at some of the tasks that they can do for you. So first of all, calendar management. So managing your appointments, booking in meetings for you. I do an awful lot of networking meetings. So beginning of each month, my VA will book me in for the various different meetings and workshops that I want to go to. If you travel, making travel arrangements, booking flights, booking hotels. One of the things that really is a game changer is if I need to do any kind of flight overseas, then prices for flights are going up and down all of the time. So I'll tell my VA where I want to go and the dates, and then they will check the airlines such as Ryanair and EasyJet to see what the prices are, and then they'll just monitor the prices each day so that we take advantage when they're going down, and once they hit the bottom, then that's when we buy the tickets. Setting up and managing your CRM system. So a CRM system is a client relationship management software, and this is where you store all of the details of your clients in the CRM system. So it requires a little bit of admin, essential to every small business, to keep everything all in one place. And especially if you are working with remote teams, you've got other people in your team. If it's just you, it doesn't really matter if you're keeping the details on your Apple phone, on your iPhone or whatever. But when you've got somebody else that also needs to access your contacts and is perhaps creating your contacts for you, then this is where a CRM system comes in. So it allows your virtual assistant to actually put all of their contact details into the CRM, and then that will sync it up with your other devices. And also appointments as well. So if you've got a virtual assistant that is making appointments for you, then they just put the details into the CRM system, and that's then automatically going to put it into your phone for you. Managing your emails, your inbox, and responding as necessary. This one really is a game changer. I have, with multiple businesses, I have lots and lots of different email addresses, but I don't have to monitor them myself. I've got my executive assistant, virtual assistant, who is managing, checking through my inboxes, dealing with any that they can deal with, responding to them, and then any that need my attention, then she will run through those with me, and I can tell her how to respond. I'll respond directly, but that really does save an awful lot of time. Doing your social media and website management. So I think, most people recognize now that social media is a very good way of generating inquiries, getting yourself known, letting everybody know what you do. And so if you're not using social media, then you definitely should be. you should be all over it, because this is the new way, really. Well, it's not necessarily new, but it is the way nowadays to really sort of to generate inquiries to your business. But again, it's very time consuming. So you don't want to be spending all your time on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, looking at what messages you've got and responding to them and liking other people's posts and things like that. So your virtual assistant can be doing that for you and responding to messages that come into your messenger. Website management. So I wouldn't suggest that you have a virtual assistant, build your website unless they're a specialist and that's what they do. But if you've got a professionally built website, then there's no reason why your virtual assistant can't be doing updates for you and posting blogs and this sort of thing. Collecting customer feedback, so sending out questionnaires to your clients, making sure they're happy. Chasing supplier quotes, drafting out contracts and agreements. So because I also have property businesses, we have a lot of agreements that we need to send out, and the virtual assistant generates the agreement. We send them out using some software called Signable, and that will go to, perhaps if it's a tenant that's moving into the property, they'll sign it on their phone, and then it just comes to me. I can sign it on my phone or my computer, and then that's it, it's done. But it's all been prepared by the virtual assistant, and everything is then all stored in the cloud. We don't deal with paper agreements and having to email paper agreements to print them out and then sign them off and scan them and send them back. That's a very, very lengthy process. And of course, it involves you having to do it yourself. But using some software like Signable, very, very easy for a virtual assistant to do it. Preparing any mailers that you may want to do, or brochures that you need to have produced. Preparing presentations and support materials. So all my slides that I do, and I make a lot of presentations, I actually don't do any of the PowerPoint at all. I give my virtual assistant the bullet points that I want, and then they will then put it into a PowerPoint for me. Provide marketing tracking, so making sure if you are doing any kind of paid for marketing, such as Facebook ads or Google ads, actually just doing the analytics and making sure that seeing what the results are and is it working or not. Setting up your social media channels. So if you know that you need to be using social media but you haven't actually got it set up, then a virtual assistant can do that for you. Going on social media and increasing your network on social media, the number of contacts that you've got. If you organize events, as we do, they can take care of all the management of that. So looking for the venue, looking at the various different options, then booking the venues, producing emails to promote the event, the whole marketing campaign, dealing with taking payments from people, making sure you got all the list of delegates, producing workbooks, producing lanyards. All of this stuff can be done by a virtual assistant. Drafting out email marketing templates. So you give them the content, the actual words, and then they can actually do the time-consuming bit. So preparing it, putting it into your email software, and actually sending it all out at the required time. Website updates, I think I've covered that. Joint venture relationships. So if you are working with joint ventures, with joint venture partners, then managing those relationships, keeping in regular contact with your JV partner. Doing your bookkeeping, so on the finance side, I'd recommend, again, you're using software as much as possible. When you're working with a virtual assistant, you do need to use the best software that you possibly can. So you don't really want to be doing your bookkeeping using Xero or something like that. Sorry, Excel. Xero is bookkeeping software. It's very, very good. and a virtual assistant can be doing all your reconciliation and your invoicing and everything that needs to be done within Xero. Credit control, producing financial statements and reports. So you know, when you're running a business, it's very important that you understand the finances, that that you've got money coming in to pay the bills, that you know that there's no pinch points. That's really, really important. You understand your profit and loss and your cash flow. Now, it may be that if you're a creator or you're a Blaze, that sort of thing really doesn't interest you, but you're running a business, so the business has to perform. So there you can have a virtual assistant that is producing all of these financial statements for you, and you just review them with your virtual assistant, make sure that everything's happy, you know, everything's good, you haven't got any problems, no issues coming up, and then you can get on with doing the things that you like doing. Assisting with HR management. So for me now, you know, this is obviously a big one. We're doing a lot of recruitment, recruiting a lot of people. I have my recruitment team. They do all of that. They do the listings. They go through the CVs. That whole process that I was talking about earlier. I've got a team that actually do that in the Philippines, and I don't even now need to get involved with the final decision. I've got other people that can make that final decision as to whether we're going to take somebody into the business or not. Operations and training manuals. So you need to develop a set of processes within your business. The process is the way that you actually do things, the steps that you go through to achieve certain outcomes within the business. So that's your process, and it's really important that you have this consistent way of doing things, because your process, it sets the quality, makes sure that everything is being done the correct way, and it also sets the client expectation. So if you go to, let's say you go to a barber's or a hairdresser's, and every time you go in there, you get a different person that's going to cut your hair. And depending on who that person is, sometimes you might get offered a cup of coffee. Sometimes they may be very chatty. Sometimes they're not. They're very quiet. Sometimes, and I can only speak from a male point of view here, sometimes they do your eyebrows and your ears. Sometimes they don't. You know, depending on the person that you've got, you're going to get a different service. So you never know when you're walking through that door, or you make your booking, what it's going to be that week. Whereas if that barber's has a process and they go, it doesn't matter who's actually going to cut the hair, everybody that comes through the door, first thing, we're going to take their coat from them. If it's a rainy day, we're going to hang it up, and then we're going to say, right, we'll be right with you. Would you like a cup of coffee before we start? Oh yeah, that'd be nice. And then they go off and they bring them a cup of coffee. Right, okay, not long, sir. Be right with you. And then they sit you in the chair. They do have a way of putting the cape on and the thing to make sure that the hair doesn't get caught down your collar. And you know, they'll cut your hair. They'll ask how would you like it done. They get the brief, then they cut the hair. Would you like your eyebrows done? Would you like your nose done? Would you like a hot flannel? You know, and they've got all of these things, and doesn't matter who you get, you're going to always get that consistency. So that is how you're setting the client expectation through the process. So let's just talk about our virtual assistant. So as I said earlier, all of ours are Philippine based. If you were to have a virtual assistant through Vavavoom, then you would have a virtual assistant that becomes part of your team. So you'd always be working with the same person or the same people. They're not chopping and changing each week. And you don't have, as I say, you don't have to take on somebody full time. Our starting hours start at 25 minimum use of 25 hours per month. But yeah, you'd always have that person. So you start to build a good relationship with that person. Why do we use the Philippines? Well, first of all, the quality of the people in the Philippines is very, very good. Generally, they are university educated. They've got excellent English skills. English is a second language. The people themselves, they're very honest and hardworking, and they actually have a really nice nature. They're more introverted as a race. Okay, so they're not particularly loud and brash. They've got great values, and I've got to say they're a real pleasure to be working with. They're happy to work on a UK time clock, so 9 o'clock in the morning here at this time of year is 4 o'clock in the evening or afternoon in the Philippines. So for many VAs, first of all, when they apply, they know that it's going to be, sort of late afternoon, evening job. And it works out for them. Sometimes they may have another job, or they may have young children that they need to look after during the day. So this gives them the chance to work a few hours in the evening and earn some extra cash. For others, it is full-time. As I say, they may have 2 or 3 clients, and they're working, some of them work what we call graveyard shifts. So some of them are working well past midnight in the Philippines, but that's their shift pattern. That's what works for them. So it really doesn't matter what time of the day you actually need somebody. And of course, our virtual assistants are trained in the software that we recommend to our clients and the processes. So we have a particular way of working. When a client comes on board, they're mentored in that way of working, and that is obviously complements the way that the VA has been trained. So we talked about problems when working from home. Right, okay, so it is really important when you are working from home, either for yourself or for your virtual assistant, that you actually understand what the issues are. Because some people don't like working from home. Some people it does work. Working from home can be lonely, especially if you're in a house and you're on your own. Everybody else is out. You've got no interaction with other people as you do have when you're working in an office. It can be hard to switch off. So often when you're working from home, if you haven't got a dedicated work area, either a room or a section of a room that you can close off, it can be very hard to switch off, and you can suddenly find yourself, working at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. And I still do it myself. Sometimes, I might have finished it and I think, oh, I better just do this other thing. And it's very easy to nip back into your home office and do a bit of work, rather than if you are going to an office and you've got a 15-minute drive to get to the office. It can be very easy to get distracted as well. So, you can be working, and other things are coming along during the day. Other people perhaps are coming into the room if you are sharing the house with somebody. So that can be a problem as well. So it's important to understand the issues. This is Marielle here. She's actually my executive assistant. So how do you do this? So first of all, make sure that you have got a dedicated work area. As I say, either a room or a section of your room that can be closed off when you're not working. Make sure you do take regular breaks. So, do a 90 minutes of work, and then get up, walk around, get a breath of fresh air for 15 minutes and just take a break. When you're working in an office, again, you sort of take natural breaks without realizing it, because you'll do some work and then you go, oh, I think I'll go and get a cup of coffee. So you'll go to the kitchen, you start making a cup of coffee, and somebody else will come in, and then you start having a chat and talking about what was on the TV last night or whatever's going on in the news, and you have that sort of natural break. So when you're working from home, you don't have that. So do factor those into your day. Drink plenty of water. Make sure you keep yourself hydrated. Drink at least 2 litres of water a day. And, that's pretty hard going. It's a lot of water to drink during the day, but it is really important that you do keep yourself hydrated. Exercise regularly. So if you can, get up and walk around. Sometimes, I get stuck behind the desk and I'm deep into things, and I suddenly think, oh, I've not been anywhere for the last 3 or 4 hours, and I get up and it feels like my legs are going to sleep. So it's really important that you do get up, you exercise regularly. If you're going to make a phone call, stand up and maybe go outside, get some fresh air if it's not raining, and have the call outside, so you are at least moving around. Dress appropriately as well. So when you're working from home, you don't want to be sort of getting the laptop and laying in bed with your PJs on doing your work. You're then not in the right sort of frame of mind, not the right mindset. So you've got your work area there. When you start work, or when you get ready for work, dress appropriately as though you are going to work. You can see here, so Marielle's got a t-shirt on. So we provide work clothes to all of our team. Allow flexible working hours. So especially if you're working with virtual assistants, and they're working from home, and they're in the other part of the world as well, there are some things that need to be done at certain times of the day. So perhaps if you've got a virtual assistant that is working with UK clients, and they need to make phone calls to those UK clients, then they need to be doing those calls during UK working hours. But there's other things, such as we talked about reconciliation. It really doesn't matter what time of the day or night that's going to be done. So you can be flexible with your team and let them work hours perhaps that suit them. Another good thing to do is to have daily team huddles. So especially when when there's more of you, if it's just you and a VA, it's still worth just having a huddle, a 10-minute call, a Zoom call each day. Just check in how things going, with any problems from yesterday, anything you want to discuss, and you can start off with a little bit of chit chat, bit of banter. What's going on in your life? What are you doing at the weekend? What did you do at the weekend? So that you start, you're building this relationship. It's not just work, but you're getting to know each other. You're getting to know, like, and trust. Let other people know your working hours as well. So when you're working from home, a lot of your friends and maybe family will think, okay, so Richard's working from home, it really doesn't matter, I can call him anytime. Well, no, I'm still working. So I make that quite clear with people that these are my working hours. I don't take calls from anybody, actually, unless I know who they are. And yes, if it's somebody just ringing me for a chit chat, then they're going to get my voicemail. And establish a routine. Really important to have a routine to your day. My routine, so I get up early in the morning, and I get up around about 6:30. The first thing I actually do is meditate. And I know a lot of people say, oh, it's hard to meditate, it's really difficult. Yes, it is. But it really, nearly all successful people meditate. It's really, really good for clearing the mind. And then you'll find that, the rest of the day, you're going to be much more relaxed and much more focused. So I meditate, first of all, for about 20 minutes in the morning. Then I will go and do some exercise, and depending on what my pattern is at that particular time, it could be swimming, it could be going to the gym. I have done running challenges, so sometimes it may have been running, it may be just be walking the dog, but I will get my exercise in. Then I will come back, I will have my breakfast, and then my phone is off, by the way, so right up till 10 o'clock. So I'm not checking any messages or getting any phone calls or anything like that until 10 o'clock, because that first part of the day, that's about getting me into the right frame of mind. And then I do personal development. So I will be, reading books, listening to webinars, reading news articles, etc. I'm working on myself rather than on the business. And then when 10 o'clock comes, I normally have all of my meetings, Zoom meetings, or as many as possible, scheduled in for the morning up till lunchtime. And then so I'll be doing those Zoom calls, team calls, client calls. And then the afternoon is when I can then get on and do other things. So very good to have a routine. So mistakes that people make. So first of all, they don't know how to recruit. I run through a very quickly a process for finding members of your dream team. But that was very quick, and there's a lot to recruitment. There's an art. How do you go through a CV and look at what are the good pointers and what are the bad pointers? And when you've got a lot of CVs to go through, you may go through the first one or two in a lot of detail, but after you've gone through a few of them and you've got another 200 to go through, then your attention to the detail is going to wander a little bit. So it's knowing the process. How do you do interviews? What are the right sort of questions that you should be asking for? How do you spot what are the alarm bells when you're interviewing somebody on Zoom, perhaps? And what are the things to look for? We also put, we put in our recruitment process, we have lots of little hooks to trip people up, because we only want the very, very best people to get through. And we last month we actually had 350 applications last month for people that wanted to become virtual assistants. And of that, I would think between 10 and 15 actually made it through. So hardly any get through our screening process, and we deliberately put things in there to trip them up. Not understanding the culture. When you're working with somebody that comes from the other side of the world, it is really important that you understand their culture and they understand ours. And they are very different. And if you don't understand that, then you're going to really, really struggle. Not having any process. So we talked about process, having that way of doing things that you always do in a consistent manner, having that process and having it documented. You should document your process in what we call the operations manual. And this is something that you can give to new people when they start, and you can form the basis of their training, so that you know that whatever they're doing it the correct way. Not using a CRM system, client relationship management software. So we talked about that earlier. If you're sharing contacts and people are making appointments for you, or they're having conversations with your clients, all of this needs to go into the CRM, and then it's all synced up. So it will sync to your phone. You've got all the notes, you've got details of appointments that may be being made for you, and the contact information on your phone and all of your devices. Once you actually you've got your VA, or you're building your team, you are there then to lead that team. So you're the team leader, and being a team leader requires, again, a whole set of skills. You're not a boss, you're a manager. A boss or a manager, they just tell people what to do and they get on and do it because they've been told what to do. A good leader is there inspiring the team and supporting the team, and somebody to come to if they're not sure. That's what a leader is. And when you've got somebody, and if you're a good leader, they're then doing those things, not because you've told them to do it, but because they want to do it, and they want to do it well. Not having any kind of reporting process, so that your virtual assistant or your dream team member can feed back to you with any kind of further information or help that they may need. Expecting 24/7 support. So again, when people are working from home, often it's expected that they're always available. Well, they're not. They're working from home, but if they've got it set up properly, they've got their dedicated work area, they go there, they do their work, and then when they finish, they're then back in the other parts of the house where leisure, socializing and relaxing. Not working with individual skills. So when we talked about earlier, Genius U, understanding what sort of person are they, what are the things that they're going to naturally be good at, and giving people the right sort of tasks so that they're doing the work that they are good at and that they enjoy, not stuff that they're struggling with. People like what they're good at and they're good at what they like. So it's really important that you are giving people the right sort of tasks to do. And of course, when it comes to all of this stuff, recruitment agencies, they don't provide any support at all. They just literally, you'll recruit somebody, they'll put you with them, and then that's it. You're on your own. That's the end of the journey as far as they're concerned. With us, of course, with VAVAVUM, that's the beginning of the journey. Our core value is support. So when people come to us, we're going to give them a virtual assistant that's been properly screened, properly trained, and then as a client, we give you all of the mentoring that is necessary to help you work successfully with that virtual assistant. Okay, so thank you very much indeed for joining me today. We've got time for some questions. So if you have got any questions, then please do just type into the Q&A box, and I will do my best to answer those questions. Okay, so how much does a virtual assistant cost? Well, we have a scale of different rates, and the more usage that you give to your virtual assistant, then the less expensive it becomes. But I'll explain just briefly. So when you come on board, you first of all, you pay £495, and that covers you for getting you set up on our system. You're going to get access to a video vault where there's lots of tutorials and training videos, all on remote working and working with VAs and software. You're obviously going to get the recruitment of your virtual assistant in there, and you're going to get mentoring with me on working one-to-one mentoring on working with your virtual assistant. So that's the initial £495, and then you pay by the hour. Now, as I say, the minimum usage is 25 hours per month, not per week, per month. And if you are using your virtual assistant for 25 hours a month, then it is £7.65 per hour, plus VAT. These prices are plus VAT, so it's £7.65 an hour. Then there's a scale of charges, but if you're using your VA then for over 120 hours in a month, then it comes down, I think, to around about £5.50 per hour plus VAT. And that's for general VA. There are different rates if you've got a specialist VA, what we call a premium VA, but most people start off with general VAs and increase the hours as they start getting used to working with a virtual assistant. All of the pricing, though, I'll just go to the next slide. All of the pricing and the rates are, and I'll go back to that one. They are on our website. So if you scan that QR code, then all the rates and pricing is on there. And if you do want to book a one-to-one call in with me, you can also do that via the website. Can you tell us about your onboarding process for new clients, please? Yes, certainly. So if you want to come on board, again, you go to the website and you will click on a link that says, I think it says sign up today. When you click on that, you'll pay the £495 to actually sign up. You will create yourself a username and password, and that gets you into the client side of the website with all of the tutorials and training information. You will then, from there, you can select a date when you would like to undertake the interviews for your VAs. And when you do that, you'll complete a form where you will tell us what are the sort of tasks that you want your virtual assistant to do. we will line up 3 or 4 suitable candidates with people that we know that are going to be able to do the sort of tasks that you've told us. The interviews will be held over Zoom, and they will be hosted by Andrea, who heads up my recruitment. She will be there. She will guide you through the interviews. At the end of the interview, she will have a conversation with you and help you decide who you want to be your virtual assistant. Then you will have your one-to-one mentoring with me, and I will run through all of the things that you need to know about working with your VA, about leadership, about the culture, about the way they've been trained in working, etc., software, give you all of that information that you need. And then you will have an onboarding call, again over Zoom. This will then be with you, with Andrea. We'll go through again a process there, and your new VA to actually get them onboarded. So that's the sort of process. We're recruiting and training all the time. So we've got VAs at the moment that are looking for clients. So, you know, when you sign up, you don't have to wait weeks for us to go through that process. It's a continuous process. So we can have a VA ready for you, onboarded within sort of 10 days or so, something like that, typically. With the VA, VAVAVUM's VAs, do you carry out the time-consuming checks in your how to hire section, ID checks, CV reviews? Yeah, absolutely. So we know how to recruit. So we get the CVs, we go through those first of all. Most of them don't even get to stage 1. Actually, let's just go back before there. So when somebody sees our listing, they will apply online, and the very first thing that they do is they complete a general knowledge quiz, and they have to get 75% or more in order to get through to the next round. Once they've completed that, then they get another questionnaire to complete, and there we're asking them detailed questions, and they have to answer in 200 words or more, and there we're looking for what their written English is like. Then from there, we'll look through the CV, make sure we're happy with the CV. If we are, then they will have 2 interviews with 2 different people, and we're looking at not just how they speak, but also other things like what's their internet speed like, how's their background, are they sitting up and engaging, or are they slumped in the chair, have they project, and how they dress. So all sorts of clues to see, you know, what sort of person they are. If they get through that, then yes, we do the ID checks, we do the Genius U check on them, and once they've gone through all of that, if they're successful, then we put them into our training. So they go into training, we train them in working our way, so the VAVAVUM way, in task management, in reporting, in how to share software. We you know, passwords, we use LastPass, so how to use LastPass. We talked about CRM system earlier. We recommend a CRM system called Less Annoying CRM. If you're not using a CRM system, check it out on our website, and you can see there. And if you want to trial it for 60 days, you can get a free trial through our website. So we train them in Less Annoying CRM, and we provide ongoing support and all those bits of software that we recommend, so you don't have to train them, we do. Where have I got to? What was the question? ID checks. Yes, so training. So they go through that training. They are trained in how to be outstanding. So that's with me. So it's personal development training. We want our VAs to stand out above everybody else's VAs. And we have very high success rate. So once they've done all that training, then they're tested. We put them through testing, and provided they pass that, then we will then put them in front of clients for interviews. So they've gone on a very long journey with us before they get to be interviewed by a client. Quick one there. What channel manager are they trained in? Okay, so we are supporting Hostaway, so we can train in Hostaway. We can train in super controlled, but we don't recommend it. We used to, but we're not recommending that one currently, because we found their support is not particularly good. We chain in Vivo and Toolkit as well. So Toolkit is the one that we're actually using, and Hostaway the most at the moment, but we can train in all of those channel managers. Okay, right. Well, I think if that's it with all of the questions, I'd just like to say you're welcome, Anita. I'd just like to say thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you found it useful. You're welcome, Tracy. And see you all next month. Bye-bye.